Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Ma'am Aya, your Applied Economics teacher. So we are here again to tackle another topic in Applied Economics. So I am hoping na hindi natin nakaligtaan ang ating mga previous lessons for these past few months, alright? So konting kembot na lang at magtatapos na ang ating first semester for this school year, no? Because we are now in the first half of your November learning activity sheets. So for today's lecture, we will be discussing about the market demand, supply, and equilibrium. So iisa-isahin natin pag-aralan kung ano nga ba itong tinatawag na market demand, supply, and equilibrium, okay? So we have the following learning target. First, we will be able to draw demand and supply curve, and also to identify the equilibrium. Alright, so without further ado, let's start. First, we have here the demand. Demand are the amount of some good and service consumers are willing and able to purchase at each price. It is also based on ability to pay. So sa demand, ito yung amount or dami ng goods or services na nais mong bilhin. Okay? Hindi mo lang siya nais, but at the same time, you have the ability to purchase, no, at the certain price of each unit ng good and services. Alright? In addition to this, minsan lagi natin naririnig yung napaka-demanding mo or you're so demanding. Okay? So, ang isang tao, hindi siya pwedeng mag-demand, no, kung wala siyang ability to pay. Alright? So, kapag may nag-utos sa'yo, halimbawa, na, uy, kunin mo naman ito, uy, kunin mo yan, o kaya gawin mo ito, gawin mo yan. So, ang sabihin mo, you cannot demand me if you don't have the ability to pay. So, kung hindi niya kayang magbayad ng service na i-render mo, o kaya nung good na ibebenta mo, then, it is not considered as demand, okay? Because remember, demand is not only based on your willingness, but also to your ability to purchase at each price ng service or ng product or goods, right? So, para mas maintindihan natin, halimbawa, we have here the Realme brand of cell phone. So, nowadays, pandemic, isa sa pinaka-in-demand, no, na mobile device sa Philippines is yung Realme brand ng cellphone. Why? Because Realme is one of the company that give economical price, no, sa kanilang mga product. And since tayo ngayon ay nasa new normal type of learning kung saan kailangan ng devices ng mga students, especially handphone, no, for their online classes and to have an access to this new normal learning. So, ang mga tao, ang mga estudyante ay bumibili ng kanilang mga cellphones. So, halimbawa nito ay ang Realme brand of cellphone. Isa ito sa pinakamataas ngayon na bebenta or napupurchase ng mga mamamayan due to its low cost. At the same time, it has a good features, good RAM, and good storage. Okay. So, tandaan natin ang halimbawa kanina. So, ngayon, we have this price. Price is what a buyer pays for a unit of the specific good or service. And quantity demand is the total number of units purchased at the price. So, kanina ang halimbawa natin is yung Realme brand of cellphone. Kung ang Realme brand of cellphone is binibenta siya for the amount of 5,000 pesos each unit, then yung 5,000 pesos na yun yung price na tinatawag. Yun yung pinabayaran ng mga buyer doon sa unit na kanilang na-purchase. Okay? Doon sa specific good or service. So, yung binabayaran natin, yun yung tinatawag na price. Now, yung quantity demand naman, this is the total number of units purchased at the price. Halimbawa yung kanina yung Realme brand cellphone, for the month of October, ang nabenta nila is 100 pieces of Realme brand unit ng cellphone. Okay? So, yung dami nung demand na nabili or yung dami ng goods na yun na nabili, yun yung tinatawag na quantity demand. Alright? So, yung 100 pieces of cellphone na Realme na nabenta for the month of September, yun yung tinatawag natin na quantity demand. Yung dami ng na-purchase at the given price doon sa product or service. Right? So, ngayon naman, we will be discussing about demand schedule. So, itong si demand schedule, this is the table that shows the quantity demanded at each price. So, isa itong table kung saan kikita natin yung quantity demanded at each price. For example, sa table na yon, for the amount of 1.5 pesos is 3 units yung na-purchase or yung quantity demand. So, parang ganun lang siya. Mamaya makikita natin kung ano nga ba itong demand schedule. Okay? I have an example here. So, mamaya sa next slide natin yung makikita. First, let's also find what is demand curve. Ano nga ba itong demand curve? Ang demand curve naman shows the relationship between the price and the quantity demanded on a graph. So, yung demand schedule at yung demand curve ay hindi pwedeng magkahiwalay. So, meron silang relationship sa isa't isa. Halimbawa, itong meron tayong table. So, yung table na yon kung saan nakalagay ang quantity demanded at each price, i-graph natin ito para makita natin kung tumaas ba ang demand or bumaba sa pamamagitan ng demand curve. So, si demand curve, siya yung magpapakita ng relationship between the price and the quantity demanded on a graph. Kung sa presyo na ito, marami ba yung bibili? O kaya naman sa presyo na ito, mas marami ba ang bibili? Okay? So, doon natin siya makikita sa demand curve na ang basihan natin ay ang demand schedule. Okay? So, here, ito na yung ating example para mas maintindihan natin. Ayan. So, ito siya. This is actually the demand curve. So, ito naman yung ating demand schedule. Ito siya, ito. Okay. So, itong demand schedule natin, makikita natin dito sa ito. First, we have the price per gallon and the quantity demanded, no, in terms of millions of gallons. So, sa presyo na $1, ang nabenta or ang quantity demanded is 800. Sa presyong $1.20, ang nabenta or yung quantity demanded natin is 700 gallons ng gas. So, dito pa lang, makikita natin na kapag mas sa pagtaas ng presyo ng gas, bumaba yung quantity demand. Okay? Kasi yung $1, no, 800 yung nag-purchase. Nung umakyat ng 0.20, naging $1.20, bumaba yung quantity demand into 700. So, ito siyang demand schedule na ito. Dito na natin siya ipo-plot, okay? Para makita natin yung relationship nito. So, this curve is what we called as the demand curve, okay? So, paano natin siya ipo-plot? We have the y-axis and the x-axis, okay? So, y-axis, dito yung ating price. I-enumerate lang natin sila dito. Ayan, from $1, 1.20, 1.40, so on and so forth. And to your x-axis is the quantity demanded, no, ng quantity of gasoline in terms of millions of gallons. So we have here the 300, 400, 500, so on and so forth. Okay? So ito siya. Ipa-plot lang natin siya. So from $1 we have 800. So 1 and then 800. So ito yung point niya. So ipa-plot mo lang siya. And then so on and so forth. So after you plot, gagawa ka lang ng line dyan hanggang sa makabuo ka ng tinatawag natin na demand curve. Okay? Now, we also have this what we called as the law of demand. So, as a student, you really have to know this law of demand because in the long run, may encounter natin talaga ito. Okay? Nowadays, na-encounter na natin itong law of demand sa market and into our daily lives. So, law of demand, as the price rises, no, ito yung sinasabi ng law of demand. As the price rises, the quantity demanded decreases and vice versa. Okay? So, ito yung tinatawag natin na inverse proportional. Okay? So, ang sabi ng law of demand, ito, para mas maintindihan natin. Pag ang price daw ay umakyat, okay, as the price rises, then the quantity demand decreases. Ito yung relationship ng law of demand. Pag tumaas ang presyo ng isang good or service, bababa ang quantity demand. Tulad ng kanina, from $1, ang quantity demand is 800. nung tumaas yung presyo into $1.20, bumaba ang quantity demand into 700. Now, inverse proportional lang siya. Then vice versa. Kapag naman ang presyo ay bumaba, ang quantity demand natin ay tataas. Okay? So, ganyan lang yun siya. Pag tumaas ang presyo, bababa ang quantity demand. Pag bumaba ang presyo, tataas ang quantity demand. Kung si Realme cellphone na Realme naging 5,000, dadami ang bibili. Pero pag si Realme na cellphone naging 10,000 pesos, probably bababa talaga yung quantity demand. Okay? Kukunti lang yung bibili ng product. So, yan yung tinatawag natin na law of. So, I hope naintindihan na natin ang under sa mga demand, no? Yung ating demand schedule at demand curve at ang ating law of demand. Okay, huwag natin kaligtaan yan. And now, let's down to the supply. Okay? So, tapos na tayo sa demand. Ngayon naman ay sa supply. Supply is the amount of some good or service a producer is willing to supply at each price. So, ang supply, ito yung amount, no, of some good or service kung saan yung producer, no, yung gumagawa ng mga good or service is willing to supply at each price. Willing niya i-render kung siya ay service o kaya willing niya i-supply sa market kung siya ay goods. Naintindihan? Yun yung tinatawag natin na supply. The amount of good or service a producer is willing to supply at each price. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na price under sa supply. No? Ang price here is what a producer receives for selling one unit of good or service. So, kanina sa demand, ang price, yun yung binabayaran natin doon sa certain unit or product or service. Okay? Yung amount na binabayaran natin para makuha or ma-purchase ang isang good or service is what we call as price doon sa demand. Here in supply, ang price na tinatawag is what a producer receives for selling one unit of good or service. Yung nare-receive mismo ng producer. Okay? So, kunyari, doon sa sinupply niya na goods, okay, is naka-receive siya, ang binayaran sa kanya is 500,000, then yung 500,000, yung presyo na yun na na-receive niya is what we called as price. Yun yung tinatawag na price under the supply. Next, we also have the law of supply. Kung meron tayong law of demand, we also have the law of supply. Law of supply says that the higher the price leads to a higher quantity supplied and lower price leads to a lower quantity supplied. Okay? So, kanina, inversely proportionate yung ating law of demand. Dito naman sa law of supply, directly proportionate. Kung tataas ang presyo, tataas din ang quantity ng supply. Kung bababa ang presyo, bababa din ang quantity supply. So, yun yung pinagkaiba ng relationship, no, ng law of demand at ng law of supply. So, para mas maintindihan natin. Okay, ito siya. We have here, if the price goes up, then the quantity supplied also goes up. Kung ang presyo naman or yung price ay bumaba, then the quantity supplied will also bababa. Okay? So, directly proportional. Kung siya ay tataas, ang presyo tataas din ng quantity or yung dami ng supply. Kung bababa naman yung presyo, bababa din yung quantity or dami ng supply. Yan yung sinasabi ng law of supply. Now, let's talk about the price and quantity supplied of gasoline. Para mas maintindihan natin. Kasi meron din tayong tinatawag na supply schedule and supply curve. Just like the law of demand, meron din silang demand schedule at demand curve. Si supply, meron din siyang supply schedule at supply curve. So, ang supply schedule, ito siya. Ito. Ang supply schedule, katulad din sa demand schedule, kung saan makikita natin ang quantity supplies at each price. Okay? So, here we have the price and the quantity na na-supply. So, in the amount or sa presyong $1, you have 500 supply. Sa presyong 1.20, you have 550. Okay? So, makikita niyo yung pinagkaiba. Sa mababang presyo na $1, you have only 500. Nung tumaas yung presyo sa $1.20, tumaas din yung quantity supply from 500 to 550. Okay? So, ito siya yung demand schedule natin. Ito, supply curve. Itong supply curve, ganun din, meron tayong y-axis and the x-axis. Y, meron tayong price. Lahat ng price dito sa supply schedule, ilalagay natin dito. And then, we also have here the quantity supplied. Okay? So, ipa-plot din natin yan. So, from 1.20 $1, meron tayong 500. So, ito siya. Ito. Then, sa 1.20, we have 550. So, dito yung plot natin. So on and so forth. And then, after that, ma-plot natin, maglalagay na tayo ng line. No? Para makakuha natin ang ating supply curve. Okay. So, kung makikita natin yung supply curve, pataas. Pataas siya. Sa pagtaas ng presyo, tumataas din ng supply. So, kanina sa demand curve, bumababa siya. From mababa yung demand curve. Kapag tumataas ang presyo, bumababa ang quantity supply. So, dito natin makikita yung relationship or kung ang presyo ba ay tataas, gaan din ba kaya ang magiging epekto nito or ano ang magiging epekto nito sa supply and demand. Okay, so mukhang napapahaba ang ating discussion. Okay, so this will be our last discussion. Yung tinatawag natin na equilibrium. Okay, so kanina napag-aralan na natin yung demand at yung supply. Kabilang na doon yung mga demand schedule, supply schedule, demand curve, supply curve, so on and so forth. So meron din tayong tinatawag na equilibrium. Okay, so equilibrium, this is the price or the market clearing price. Ito yung tinatawag na market clearing price or equilibrium price. This is the price at which the producer can sell all the units he wants to produce and the buyer can buy all the units he wants. Kumbaga, from the word itself, equal, balance. Okay? We have to balance. So, dito sa equilibrium price, ito talaga yung goal natin sa market. Wala tayong surplus, wala tayong shortage. Okay? Itong nasa taas, itong mga curve na ito or plot, above the equilibrium is what we call as the surplus or excess. Ito yung mga sumobra. And then, ito namang excess demand or shortage, ito yung nasa baba ng equilibrium. Okay? So, halimbawa, meron tayong product, So, yung product natin, nung nagtaas yung presyo, tumaas yung presyo, bumaba yung demand. Sa pagbaba ng demand, hindi na nabenta yung mga ibang sinupply kasi masyado marami yung kinuha mo dun sa supplier. So, ito siya yung surplus mo or yung excess. Okay? Excess supply. So, ito yung mga sayang yung sinasabi nila. O kaya, ito yung mga binabagsak presyo sa market. Okay? Sa baba naman, ito yung shortage. Okay? Kapag bumaba yung presyo, tumataas yung demand. So, ang nangyayari, excess demand, so nagkakaroon tayo ng shortage. So, ngayong panahon ng pandemya, isa sa pinakamagandang halimbawa is yung mga mask natin, kung saan nagkaroon ng excess demand. Okay? So, dumami yung ating demand sa mask kung saan naging sanhi nito ay ang shortage. Pagkakaroon ng shortage ng mask. Okay? So, dahil din doon, tumaas din yung presyo nagtaas ang ating market ng presyo para maibsan yung pagkakaroon ng shortage. Alright? So, ito siya yung tinatawag na equilibrium. Ito yung goal natin, balance. Walang sobra at walang sayang. Ayan. Surplus and shortage. So, to sum up, a market at its equilibrium price and quantity has no reason to move away from that point. So, kapag ang market na-achieve na yung equilibrium price, then wala ka ng reason para mag-move pa, I-move pa natin yung mga points doon sa ating curve. Okay? Kasi yun yung goal natin, yung equilibrium price. Then, how market forces move the market price to equilibrium when the price is above equilibrium? This is what we call as surplus. Then, how market forces move the market price to equilibrium when price is below equilibrium? Dito napapasok yung shortage. Okay? So that ends our discussion. So if you have clarifications, objections, concerns, you can reach me at Alright, so I hope you guys have learned. So, thank you and ciao. Credits. Special thanks to all the people who made and released these awesome resources for free. Also, all videos and images used in this content belongs to its rightful owner. No infringement intended.